Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This afternoon we have Mr. Vallejo. He's going to speak to us in regards to auto mechanic. What exactly auto mechanic entails? What does he do on a day-to-day basis? What training he's received? Any type of certification that he's acquired? Also, what are some highs and lows within his career? And then he'll also share with us how COVID-19 has impacted his daily work routine. We ask that you mute all your lines. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comment box and we'll address them at that time. Thanks again, Mr. Vallejo, for joining us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Hello?
Yes, sir. So if you could please tell us a little bit about your title and your role and what exactly do you do within your current position?
Well, first of all, my name is Mario Vallejo, and I am the owner and one of the lead technicians for the automotive repair shop called Vallejo or Vallejo Motors. We're located downtown Victoria. And I've been doing this as far as with Vallejo Motors probably for about 5 years. But I've been an auto mechanic since 1989. And then I did that for a good while. I had a business back then. Then I left that. I stopped doing that, and I went to do the chemical plants for a little while. Then like I said, I started this back up in basically 2014, I think, is really when I kicked it off the ground again.
Okay, great. And so is this a family acquired business?
Yes,
Just yours?
yes, it is. I actually have it's me and my wife. She handles the front. She does kind of like a service writer and handles a lot of the office duties. I have normally I'll have two full techs, and including myself, but with everything being kind of slow because of the COVID-19 right now, it's just down to myself, another mechanic, and then I have one guy that comes in. It's kind of like a porter that helps with some small and minor jobs and kind of helps keep the shop clean.
Great. Why exactly did you choose this field or this business to pursue?
Well, I first started off with just the passion for working on automobiles. I mean, like all young men back in their teenagers, they all like cool cars, fast cars, all that kind of stuff. And it kind of just started off as more of an interest and hobby. And then I started working for a gas station back in the day when, you used to have full service and check oil, change oil, all that kind of stuff. And then it kind of took off from there. But it really started off with just a passion for enjoying it and just, working on vehicles.
Now, what level of training is required to open up your own shop and just to be a mechanic in general?
Well, I did go through a technical school back then. And then, but, there was also, I did work at some local dealerships, and I did receive a lot of dealership training. I worked for some of the, like your Firestones and Sears back in the day was big, where they'll send you off to school for weeks. Certifications, I'm ASE certified. I have everything. I'm almost a master, master certified, other than the automotive rebuilds, which we don't. That's the only thing that we don't do at our shop. Which I still plan on taking that test just to have the master certification. But there's a lot of training that you can get, like a kind of apprentice type training, which I did part of that back, when I first started. I had a lot of schooling that I went to. Then, like I said, I did the training as far as a technical type school. But there's different avenues that you can take, especially nowadays. They have a lot of good things online. But me personally, I think especially now the way cars are, it's a little bit more. I guess with the technology nowadays, there's you want to get the hands on, but you also want to understand exactly the ins and outs of the automotive or the vehicles that you're working on.
What type of entry level positions are there for someone in your field?
Like I have a position right now, like I mentioned earlier, where one of the guys that I had that he's currently just doing he's with us right now part-time. Anything from changing the oil, doing minor things like belts, hoses, maybe vehicle state inspections. Of course, you got to be certified to do that. But as far as entry level, and then part of that is like, keeping the keeping the shop clean, but then also like when you have downtime, we do a lot of heavy repair here, a lot of engine replacements for engine rebuilds. So you might want to. That's how you can learn a lot of stuff. Is either hang out with me or the lead. My lead mechanic is out there in the shop, full time, and help him and assist him, and that type of stuff. And that's how you can learn and add to your learning.
Okay. Are there any opportunities for a high school student who may be interested in auto tech to go and join you in the shop, whether it be just to be a shop helper or even hands-on activity?
Sure. I mean, I think I'm really a big advocate of giving back to the community, and that's kind of how I, if there's an individual that's very interested and he's got a lot of he's kind of he or she's a go-getter and very interested. And to answer your question, yes, I mean, I definitely would look at all that. I mean, right now is a difficult time. It's what I mean by that with, everybody, it's kind of the elephant in the room as far as this COVID-19. So we've been fortunate. We've been very busy, but we're slower than normal for this time of the year. Normal this time of the year is really our peak between now and the time that school really starts. And we're doing well, but we're not as busy as we normally are. So that opportunity is there, but I mean, I'd have to get my other people back in the shop as well, get back to kind of like what I would consider, a full staff, which we're not there yet, but we're getting there.
You did mention in he and she. How many females do you generally see within this industry?
Well, from the service writer side, that's very common. You can go to any of the dealerships here in Victoria, and you'll see a lot of the service writers who get all the information from the customer. And you do need to know a lot about about automobiles. And you see that. I see that in the parts industry as well. I mean, day to day, I deal with different vendors, and one of the biggest vendor that I use that I deal with her, and she manages the commercial side of it, and she's great, so and I haven't had any female technicians come through, but that's not to say that that can't happen. My wife, her dad was a mechanic, and she would help her dad back in the day when she was younger and stuff. So she's got a good foundation of how cars operate, how they work, as far as the verbiage goes when you're trying to explain something to a customer.
Now you talk about gender inclusion. What about disability inclusion? Are there possibilities for somebody who may be diagnosed with a disability to become an auto mechanic?
Yeah, for sure. I think it all just depends on the individual. I think if that person is willing to learn and and has a passion to with the cars. I mean, there's different things that we can do as far as from a I guess the employer side of things to help that individual. And so yeah, I mean, the options are always there. I mean, so that's not I guess an obstacle. We can probably overlook that and get through that process.
Okay. So talk more a little bit about your day-to-day operations. Scheduling go? How does from opening up shop to closing up shop, how does that all consist and bundle up together?
Well, I mean, a day-to-day operation, just kind of give you on what we do here. We're a Monday through Friday operation, 8 to 5. Get here, open shop up, kind of, we have whiteboards that we use as far as, I'm real big, especially now we're big on scheduling. So, day to day, just about making sure we have the parts that we need. If there's any special order parts that need to be ordered. And then we also have, the walk-in customer. Now, again, we're in different times now. We're strictly right now by appointment only, even with vehicle inspections, just because right now currently our lobby is closed. But day-to-day operations, I do vehicle state inspections here, which I do We do the installs and the calibrations of the what they call smart starts, which is basically if somebody has a DWI, we install the interlock system on there, and we also once a month they got to come in and have their system calibrated, so that keeps us busy. And then the day-to-day things as far as the customers that want just the simple things, maintenance done, oil changes. Right now it's starting to get hot again. People wanting their cars looked at for their air conditioning systems, and then we have the big jobs. Like this week we did 2 motor swaps, or we got another one coming in next week. So it's just a matter, just for me, even though I do I do some mechanic work, but I'm more on the making sure we're getting the right parts. Making sure that you're doing some price comparison, making sure you're getting a good quality part, but you're trying to get the best deal for yourself as well as for the customer. And then the communication with the customer, we're big on communicating with the customer as far as putting an estimate together, and then selling the job to them, and then following through with the job. And then if it's a big job, kind of communicating with them, hey, the parts are on order, or the parts came in, that type of thing. It just, so there's a lot of things that go day to day. And then you have the paperwork aspect of it as far as, I use 2 different systems. I use a QuickBooks for my bookkeeping system, but then I also use I use an AllData program. I use a Labor Pro program. And then, so there's a lot of things that, you want to definitely have some good computer skills. Even for the technicians in the shop, we use AllData so they can access the computer to look if they're to get the vehicle information, any kind of specifications they may need, or like if you're doing computer diagnostics, you want to pull up what they call DTC stuff, which is diagnostic trouble codes. It's everything is, we want to basically we use the computer a lot day in, day out, not only from a customer information standpoint, but also for vehicle information to help us troubleshoot and to help us, do different things, as far as to make our job easier.
So you talk about all these responsibilities and job duties that you have. What is the most rewarding or fulfilling part of your job that you enjoy the most?
Personally, being just self-employed, as far as just self-employed in general, it's very, rewarding to me as far as being able to be working for yourself. And just like with anything, that definitely does come with pros and cons, but also making sure, knowing that at the end of the day, you did a solid repair, and you gave the best, you gave the customer what they came in for, which is, you repair their vehicle or maintain their vehicle, and you did it with integrity, and you did it, with their, just like you're working on your own vehicle. We take the time out to right now, we're disinfecting vehicles, and we're not charging to do that like some other shops may be doing. And we're we're just trying to just, just making sure that we gave the customer a very good, great experience. And that's, when we get a lot of positive feedback at the end of the day, or when the customer picks their vehicles up, that's, it's very satisfying to know that you did a good job at the end of the day.
Earlier you mentioned computer skills. What do you feel is the most important academic knowledge that they need to receive when they decide to pursue auto mechanic or auto tech as a profession?
You said academic knowledge?
Yes, sir.
I think, mathematical skills is definitely great to know. And I'm just going to be straightforward, man. Common sense to me is the biggest thing. And then just being able to follow direction, to be able to follow a procedure, because a lot of things may be very procedural, and you definitely have, with a lot of the things being the newer cars being very electronically controlled, or, we definitely, a lot of these cars, and believe it or not, they have 4, 5, 6, 7, even some of these, these higher import ends or these high-end luxury cars, they'll have up to 15 computers in a car. So you definitely want to be able to understand, the, math is very strong, and then just following direction, and then the common sense approach, you know, and just being able to, like, you know, to me, working on the cars is like a puzzle. You know, it's a little bit more involved than that, but I mean, you know, what you take off, what you put back. I mean, but I mean, you know, everything. I think all the stuff that you have in school is definitely important. And but computer schools is a big thing. Your computer knowledge is a big thing, and just being able just to be comfortable and how you know, just know your basic, you know, computer skills. You know, most of your automotive repair programs they're pretty basic, but you definitely need to know how to just to operate. If you can operate Windows or something like that, you can definitely get around most of your average software as far as automotive repair goes.
So you talk about common sense as a soft skill. What additional soft skills do you think an employee would need to be working there in the garage or in the workshop?
Communication is very important. You know, not only with each other, but then, you know, you may have some customer interaction as well. And you definitely want to just have some good communication skills, and just really just the ability just to follow direction. And, you know, whether it be just either coming from myself, or if you're working with one of the other technicians in the shop, or like, you know, hey, here's this, you got this job, and here's the actual procedure that tells you how to remove this water pump and stuff like that. And you know, for somebody that's maybe like an apprentice or who just came out of like a tech school, even though they went to a tech school, I'm still going to print out the procedure for them, or they'll have the, you know, they can go and look it up on the computer themselves, and just be able to follow step by step, and, you know, that type of stuff. You know, just basic, you know, common sense approach to a lot of, you know, it's very good to have.
Okay, what about PPE and safety within the garage or within the workshop? Like, do you provide the PPE? Do you all have safety protocols? What standards do you all follow?
As far as PPE goes, I mean, your standard PPE is mainly, you know, and it's all you know, definitely if you're going to be in a shop with heavy equipment, you know, you want to have your, you know, your work type boots on, steel toes. I mean, steel toes is not a requirement that we have, but I definitely recommend it to our guys. You know, safety glasses when you're out there doing any grinding or cutting or anything like that. Definitely want to have your safety glasses on. I mean, some of the guys wear their safety glasses all the time. You know, you know, and I go back to the procedures. Like if you're doing an air condition like service, you know, when you're connecting or disconnecting, you definitely want to have your safety glasses on. But to answer your question, yes, we do provide your, you know, your normal standard PPE. You know, right now with the back to the COVID-19, you know, right now, you know, we are wearing rubber gloves when we, you know, we're changing out regularly. You know, when we get in a car, get out of a car, you know, before we disinfect it, that type of stuff. Maybe like if we're doing any, you know, grinding, or if we do any welding, you know, of course you're going to be wearing the right type of welding jackets, welding gloves. But at the very most, and you know, we have earplugs or earmuffs, whatever you want to call it. If we're doing if we're doing some kind of heavy, you know, like we're using an air hammer for something, or we're doing some heavy grinding. But for the most part, in an average automotive repair shop, you're going to just basically be wearing safety glasses, maybe goggles, maybe face shield, and you know, different types of gloves that depend on what type of actual work that you'll be doing.
Okay. You kind of addressed the second question, which was how has COVID-19 changed your work environment? And I know you did talk about additional gloves and face mask use and scheduling for folks, as well as the shortage within the work atmosphere. Is there anything else you'd like to address how this pandemic has changed your work dynamic?
Yeah, COVID. I mean, this. You know, I'm sure as everybody's aware, it's affected everybody's, you know, life in general, you know, in one way or another. And then as far as in the automotive industry, um, you know, there's a lot less contact with the vendors. I mean, right now our lobby is closed to the vendors and to the actual customers. So that's why we're going by appointments only, to where they can drop off and leave off. You know, we're offering free pickup and delivery of vehicles. We're doing, as far as we're using our what we call a drop box, which the customers can after hours drop off their keys, pick up their keys, pick up their invoice, because now we're trying to do, we're trying as less contact, payment over the phones, that type of stuff. It's been a challenge, to be honest with you, because as far as my shop is concerned, we have what I consider like a very cool vibe. And you walk into my shop, it's very, we got lots of cool collectible cars as far as like the small cars, and then we have like a lot of black light posters. So it's got like an Austin, Texas type vibe. And that was part of my, I guess, niche, I guess you would say, compared to a lot of the other repair shops here in Victoria. And so with that part being closed, so now, that was just an extra thing that customers got when they came here and they were, waiting in our waiting area. But it just, we have yellow chain up, plastic chain, where we don't allow anybody in the back. We have signs, of course, 6 foot distancing. So we've done all the protocols. We got to wear masks. Now it's a kind of when we go out there and we're talking or explaining with the customer, we have a face to face. We got the distancing. We got to wear the mask, which is a requirement for us as far as being on the working side of things. So it's been a tough thing, but I had a lot of protocols in, we're like the disinfecting service of the cars. I was fortunate enough to where, my wife and myself, we own another business to where we clean. So I have a lot of disinfectants and stuff so it kind of went hand in hand as far as disinfecting cars, that type of stuff, what they call high touch points. And so it's been a challenge, but it's been, I think we took it on head on, and I think we're doing good with it. And of course, we're still learning like everybody else is as we're going along with this virus, this COVID-19.
Yes, sir. Is it possible for us to see any of the equipment or tools that you all use there in the work environment?
Sure. I mean, my desk is a mess right now, but let me just see if I can flip this thing around real quick. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Okay. So can y'all see that, guys? Just my computer there. Nothing special here. Okay, so here's just my main office. I'm just going to talk, if I'm going too shaky, I talked about a lot of collectible type stuff, but here's my back office. This is actually where one of our administrators would sit, when she's here, but she's not here right now because of us cutting back. I'm going to kind of do the lobby type thing, then we'll go out to the actual shop itself. That's what I talk about, the cool stuff. And here's the lobby. Just small customer waiting area. And here's Miss Crystal. Say hello.
Hello.
This is basically where customers will pay us and that type of stuff. But we're going to walk out to the shop. I'm actually going to walk out the front. Okay, hold on 1 second, okay? Are you here for an inspection? You've been calling, right? Yeah. In 1 second. All right, so we're going to go as doing state inspections. You got to have one dedicated bay for doing state inspections. This is normally it, but we did some heavy repair earlier, so it's a big mess. But we talked about computers. Here's a computer that we use for state inspections, dedicated just to that. Here's for the Smart Start systems. This is the calibration gas that we use. Going out to the shop area now. Here's a kind of a rebuild that we're doing right now. Doing just a normal engine swap. Shop's a little messy right now, but exhaust muffler equipment, plasma cutter, MIG welder. Of course, obviously, you know, you want to have toolboxes and tools, and we use this a lot. AC equipment, just general AC 134A, which something that may be cool to. This is a custom built engine, I guess, where we can put an engine on the engine stand and actually run it without it being in the car. It's got a radiator, electric fan set up, and I got one of my, well, he's gone for the day already, but, you know, just a general shop, you know, it's just what you need to get the job done. You know, and then as far as diagnostic equipment, I keep a lot of that inside my shop, you know, scanners, laptops for programming, that type of stuff. But that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much for the tour.
You're welcome.
Does anyone on the call have any other questions they'd like to address with Mr. Vallejo at this time? With no other questions, I appreciate everyone calling in. I appreciate everyone's time. And thank you so much, Mr. Vallejo, for taking time out of your afternoon to speak with us and to give us that nice tour. We appreciate everything. If anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask at a later date and time, please feel free to email me and I could forward those comments along to him. Once again, thank you all for participating. You all stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you.